there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Today we're wrapping up. Today we're starting on chapter 10 of book 3 of the Ethics, and we're turning from an account. We've been last couple of chapters looking at courage, right? Basically, this last portion of starting around, I think around 6 or 8. It's starting around there. We had basically the last couple, 3, 4 chapters of previous videos. We dealt with courage, right? Re-examination of the virtues, the specific virtues. Okay, and starting to 10 to 12, so next 3 videos. This video and 2 other videos. We'll focus on the question of the next virtue. Remember the theme of pleasures and pains. We started originally on pleasures and pains. Now he reverted here in the re-examination of the virtues. First, courage, which is a kind of response to both pleasure and pain, but responding, to fear, right? The question of fear, things we fear, which is tied to pain, right? And now this is more tied to the engagement, or how do we engage with the question of pleasure in that sense. Sophosune, right? This is the Greek word sophosune, sound-minded, literally a sound-mindedness or wise-mindedness. Soundness of mind. This is a translation, but the classics have always translated this, and for in Aristotelian scholarship, there is often the historical translation of moderation. The idea of moderation. This is the idea of moderation. This sense, and sophosune. Therefore, the focus of sophosune is the question of pleasure. Let's turn to chapter 10 today, and then look at it about the question of the re-examination of sophosune, moderation, here. After this virtue, courage, right? Let us speak about sophosune, moderation, for these seem to be the virtues of the non-rational part of the soul. So therefore, again, the non-rational part of the soul is dealing with what sensation, this fearing of pain, the sensing sense, the sensing of the non-rational part of the soul of feeling pleasure and pain, right? And therefore, this is the virtues that deal with this non-rational part of the soul, right? Now, that moderation is a mean. Remember, between in respect to pleasure, a mean is mean is that ground that is between an excess and a defect, right? Has been stated to us with the pleasures, respect to the pleasures, has been stated to us. For it is less concerned with pains than with pleasures, and it is concerned with each in its in dissimilar ways. In other words, different pleasures in this sense are going to be, in other words, the pleasures in question are going to respond different pleasures will have to respond to the question of what is this virtue, the virtue responding to pleasure. But there's given that there's going to be different types of pleasures, right? Therefore, it's going to be the virtue is going to respond to it differently, right? So, licentious too is a manifestation of the same thing. Licentious, that means it's responding to pleasure. Licentious is a state or condition that is responding to pleasure. It's enjoying it. It's really getting off on it. It's completely surrendering to pleasure, right? Let us now define the sort of pleasures which they are concerned, right? So, what kind of pleasure is this virtue going to be, or this condition of moderation and licentiousness are kind of in that sense, right? Let the bodily pleasures then be distinguished from those that belong to the soul. For example, love of honor or ambition or love of learning. For Of these latter pleasures, each person enjoys the one he is disposed to love. His body not being at all affected by them, but rather his thought. So the love of honor or ambition and the love of learning, the pleasures that are tied to here, are not necessary to tie to the body. It's tied to his thinking. So these kind of pleasures are tied to the soul, he says. Okay, the psyche, the word psyche, the word, remember, the soul. The Greek word is psyche, so that could be mind also. In other words, these are the pleasures of the mind, right? The word is pleasures of the mind, the soul belongs to the soul. Honor and learning, love of learning, right? People who are concerned with such pleasures are not spoken of as either moderate or licentious, nor simply are those concerned with any of the other, nor are those concerned with any of the other non-bodily pleasures. So, in other words, moderate. The question of moderate and moderate is the exercising of moderation, and licentiate is one who engages heavily in pleasure. Right? We would not refer to someone who loves learning or and loves honor as licentious or moderate, nor would we consider anyone who is of the other non-bodily pleasures. Okay, not of the physical body of pleasure and pain. For as people who are lovers of myth and disposed to storytelling, and those while away, and those who while away the day on whatever chance matters that they happen on. We'd say they are adult chatterers, right? They keep on going. They the storytellers and those who just prattle prattle about whatever chance matters they happen on. We like to say they're either chatterers, but not licentious. Okay, so the person who's chatter about, they're not licentious. They go beyond it. Right? They're not licentious. A storyteller is what? A storyteller is the moderate one, right? It would be akin to the moderate one, and the chatterer is the one who is what? Um, who is undisciplined. He goes to excessive a story, right? But he's not licentious in that character. Nor do we say those who are pained over money or friends are licentious, right? They're pained. They suffer not. They don't suffer pleasure. They suffer their grief over the question of money or pain, spending too much money, or the spending of money causes them pain, or the something about friends. Their friends, something about their friends is not unpleasurable to them. This is not licentiousness either in that sense. Moderation would be concerned with the bodily pleasures and not even with all of them. So concerned with the body pleasures, but not all of them. Okay? For people who enjoy pleasure stemming from sight, for example, colors, shapes, and drawings, are not spoken of either as moderate or licentious. We would even seem possible to enjoy these things too in a way that one ought, as well as in an excessive or deviant way. In other words, things that are dealing with sight, pleasures from sight. We can do it in a proper way or an excessive way, but we wouldn't call neither of this moderate or licentious. Similarly, says this is similarly the case with hearing. No one calls licentious those who take excess enjoyment in melodies or dramatic oratories, nor would we call anyone moderate those who enjoys them in the way they ought to. So, this hearing, listening. Someone who excessively listens and goes to, just can't control the listening, versus one who listens to the degree they ought to. Right? We wouldn't call neither of this moderate or licentious. Right? The one who goes excess, we wouldn't call it licentious. So therefore, that is interesting. Nor does anyone speak of this way about people who take in upward smells. except incidentally. For we do not say that people who enjoys the smell of apples, roses, or incense are licentious, but rather those who enjoy the smell of fancy perfume or gourmet, but rather those who enjoy the smells of fancy perfumes or gourmet foods. For the licentious enjoy these things because through such smells they come to have memory of the things they desire. So therefore, there is a way which smell does, and I'd maybe even say sight does the things that we desire. In other words, the sights of the things that we desire would be kind of the sounds and sights and smells of the things we desire. If the smells of the things we desire, right, they come to the memory of those things that they desire. Licentious, in other words, for gourmet, because the enjoy, in other words, fancy perfumes and gourmet, not necessarily apples, roses, incense, just pure smells, but smells of the things we desire. This becomes kind of a licentiousness, not because the smelling is licentious, but it reminds us of the things. And would not that be true about the seeing and the hearing too? Okay, that's one could see others too enjoying the smell of food when they are hungry, but enjoying such things belong to a licentious person, since for him they are the object of his desires. In other words, other people can enjoy food, right, when they're hungry, but just the enjoyment of food, the smell of food, and maybe even the enjoyment of seeing food too, seeing and sighting, because they're the object of it. If the smelling of the objects of desire is kind of an engagement of licentiousness, is not the seeing and hearing of the similar things? So this is careful. This is the border. This is where there is not a complete sense, not the mere seeing of it, not the mere seeing of things and overindulging in the seeing and smelling, but rather of the things you desire, right? This is the thing. That's the problem. In the case of the other animals, there is no pleasure associated with these perceptions, except incidentally, for it is not the smell of hares that the hounds enjoy, but their meat. And the smell produces the perception of the meat to be enjoyed. In other words, the smell is a perception here. Right? For animals, it's the smell isn't pleasure plain. It's the smell says, "Oh, that's a hare. That is a rabbit. It means I get to eat the rabbit." It's a what? The pleasure that they get from it is not the pleasure of the smell, but the anticipation of eating the meat. Right? That's the the lion too enjoys the sound of the crow's voice, but enjoys too not the sound of the crow's voice, but the eating of the cow. Okay, it's a cow. The lion too, not the sound of the cow's voice, but the eating of the cow. Through the fact that the cow was nearby, he perceived through the sound of its voice, and so he appears to enjoy this because he's anticipation. In other words, it's not that the sound he doesn't he doesn't get pleasure from the mere sound. He gets pleasure from the anticipation. He hears the cow and he's, oh, cow food. Okay. Uh, and similarly, the lion does not take enjoyment from because he sees a deer or a goat in the field, but because he will have its meat. In other words, this is the phrase. This is the phrase in 32 that he sees the deer and the goat in the field. This is from the phrase alludes to Iliad, book 3, line 24. Moderation and licentiousness are concerned with the sort of pleasures that are the rest. The moderation and licentiousness are concerned with the sort of pleasures that the rest of the animals also share, but is why these pleasures appear slavish and brutish. Namely, the pleasures of touch and taste. In other words, touch and taste, touch and taste. These are the most, and that's why these pleasures is to be the slavish and brutish, because there's something shared with the animals. Right? But in fact, moderation and licentiousness appears to deal with taste only to the extent, or not. In other words, appears with only to a small extent, not at all. For it belongs to this sense of taste to discriminate among flavors, which is just what people who test wines and seasons meats. So therefore, it's judging things, right? Judging this is better, this is that. And taste has this element of judgment, right? Assessment and judgment. But they do not even enjoy these things very much, or at least not if they are licentious. Indeed, the licentious enjoys the delight that comes about entirely through touch in food, drink, and matters said to be belonging to Aphrodite, sex, right? This is the matters belonging to Aphrodite, they belong to sex, right? This is the licentious enjoys that which belongs to food, drink, and sex. Right? Here, a certain gourmand prayed for his throat to become longer than a crane's, on account that he takes his pleasures through touch. Right. This is the gourmand identified in human as Perlexo, son of Erex. So the human ethics names him in that sense. Right. Um, so licentiousness pertains to the most common of these senses. Most common of these senses, and it might be held to be justly subject to greatest reproach because it belongs not so it belongs to us not in so much as we are humans, but in so much as we are animals. In other words, this is our animal nature. This is our animal nature, and this is why it's reproachable. Now, the term here is common, right? Konos suggests the first place widely shared, right? But also extension, it also applies to the vulgar. It has a common, the term konos, not only what is widely shared, what is common, what is shared, right? Also, it has a kind of colloquial sense of a sense of being that belongs to the ordinary. It's the ordinary and the vulgar. So therefore, it's kind of there can be in the use a condescension or a kind of looking down towards the koinos, the common in that sense, right? The common. Oh, what does the common people do there? So this is the widespread, right? But it's widespread, widely shared. That's just what it means in that sense. To enjoy these sorts of things, then and to be fond of them most of all is brutish because it's more animal-like than human in that sense, right? The argument goes that to enjoy these sorts of things, the things of touch, and even the tasting thing it's about the taste is a kind of pleasuring, not discernment. Taste, in one sense, taste means discernment, but taste is also a form of touching. Okay, this the things and the pleasure that they get from it, right? The pleasure is more a touching than the distinct the kind of discernment, right? And that's why touch is a kind of thing, right? Um, and that therefore this is the most brutish, she says. The most to enjoy these things is to be fond of them all. Most of all is brutish. The most liberal, free. This is the word. This is the ethos, right? The most free of the pleasures, liberal of the pleasures, arise through touch, are accepted. Accepted. In other words, the liberal of the pleasures that arise through touch. For example, those of the gymnasia concerning with massage and heat, since the touch that is of interest to the licentious person does not concern the whole body, but only a certain part of it. Now, here, the subjective use of the free refers to most of the qualities or qualities that distinguish the free man, the euluthios. And above all the ethics, the freedom from any slave attachment to money. In other words, when I serve money, I must serve. It's To be free is to be free. It's the free. This is what freedom means. A free man, a free person, is not bound to either labor or to slavish desires, right? So that's where we stop here. We end the chapter. We end this chapter on this discussion here. He ends on the introduction of the question of the free. the most free man, the most liberal pleasures. That these are exempted. The liberal pleasures that are it belongs to what? Particularly to concerned with massage, and heat. Gymnastic things, right? This is making the body better. This is designed. Now, the massage that is designed for pleasure, that is designed to just merely give pleasure, that could be problematic. But the massage that is designed to make the body as the whole better, right? But a certain part. In other words, it does not concern the body as a whole, but only certain aspects of the things that give maximum pleasure. When the touching deals with the parts of the body that gives them the maximum pleasure versus the body making the body as a whole better or the body function better, that's a distinction between when touching and this kind of activity is exempt from this concept of this thing. So let's stop here. If you have any comments or questions, please put them below, and I will respond to them. If you have any issues about what is, the move about the question of the theme of what he's trying to deal with the question of sophosune, moderation, and then he also introduces licentiousness, and what it's not in that sense, and it seems to be controlled with the body. He says, particularly first and foremost, the bodily pleasures, but not all of them. He kind of separates, seeing, hearing, and smelling. But then he says, wait a minute, starting with smelling and also implying by hearing. But the smelling of things that give you pleasure and you do so, that remind you of those things you desire, the pleasure that not give you pleasure, but the smelling of the smells, that things that you desire and gives you pleasure. That is kind of this is where it borders on licentiousness. And he says it's first and foremost dealing with touch, right? And it deals with, he says, food, what is that line? Food, drink, and sex, matters of Aphrodite. This matters of Aphrodite, sexual things. Okay, please give your comments or questions. If you like the chapter, hit the like this, what we've done here, hit the like button. Please hit the like button, it helps. Share it with a friend, share the video with a friend, share the thing with this, encourage others to show them the video with your social media and things like that. If you have any are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you know people who might be interested in this, subscriptions will just simply get notifications. But it helps grow the channel, so please do so. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Bring the channel to the attention of others. They can see the other previous videos we've talked about, not only about Aristotle's ethics, but other Aristotle and also other texts we've looked at. If you didn't like it, you have some problems. You can always thumbs down it, but say why in the comments so we can all learn. Another thing you can do is you can follow me on social media. The links are below. You can, if you want to follow more of me as an academic and what I do as a scholar, you can follow my academic social media and look at my scholarship and things like that. And last but not least, if you want to help me to do what I do, you can do so through as becoming a member of Subscribe Star Patreon. It will help. It helps. If you don't want to do that, you can always send me a gift card. I'm by Amazon. You can go look at the academic social media and find my. Okay, I'm joking. I'm not joking either. Am I? But you can do so if you want to do regular, small little. I think it's $5. Whatever. I don't know what the scam. I mean, not scam, but the what. I don't want to say scam because it does help. It would help. It's not like anyone does it, but if it does happen, it happens, right? If you have another way you can help is to buy one of my books. Links are below. Take care and have a good day. Next time we'll look at chapter 11. Take care. Bye-bye.